It has been nearly 40 years since a two-guard went first overall in the NBA draft. You have to go back to 1973 and Doug Collins to be exact, but that streak could come to an end this year. Seth Davis in studio here to discuss his number one at the number two position. So give us your top five.
Well, certainly Ben McLemore of Kansas is the guy that you're referring to. A lot of people still think that Nerlens Noel is going to be the number one pick. You know, it kind of has parallels to the Durant-Oden choice that if looking back, but anyway, McLemore's going to have a shot at number one, certainly the best two-guard in the draft, followed by C.J. McCollum, the senior guard from Lehigh who missed most of his senior season because of a broken foot. Allen Crabbe is a sweet shooting guard from the University of Cal Berkeley. Reminds me of another Allen back in the day, Allen Houston. Archie Goodwin from Kentucky is a guy, frankly, I'm not quite as high on as some other folks. And then Jamal Franklin from San Diego State. Those, to me, are the top five shooting guards in this draft. A pretty strong crop at the two position, I think.
All right, let's start at number one for you, and that's McLemore. And there are a lot of people that, I mean, it's no secret, think that there's a weak NBA class coming up in the draft this year. So in a normal year, in a strong year, is McLemore worth the top pick?
I think he is. I really do. I mean, the comparison that's made most often with him is Ray Allen. Now, you can say, well, that's not fair to compare a guy to one, arguably the best outside shooter in the history of the NBA, certainly one of the top 10. Let me tell you something. I was at a newspaper in New Haven, Connecticut when Ray Allen was a freshman at UConn. Ben McLemore was better as a freshman than Ray Allen. Now, whether he's going to develop into that, we don't know. But in terms of his pure ability to stroke the basketball from deep and athletically, I would put him a notch above Ray Allen. The question mark about Ben McLemore is, number one, his ball handling, which is something that can be learned. And number two is his motor. Sometimes not quite as assertive as people would like, but you look at his numbers, he must have been pretty assertive to put up those kind of numbers. I think if he went number one, I wouldn't blink an eye at that.
Another guy on your list is Archie Goodwin from Kentucky. And here's a guy that the scouts say most of his points take place near the basket, needs to work on his outside game. Do you see any chance that maybe an NBA team could get him and try and convert him maybe to a small forward to get him around the basket?
I think it's more likely that they would try to move him closer to a point guard position. I don't know if he'll ever be a pure one in the NBA. He certainly fits the prototype. He's got a good body. He's very, very athletic, extremely quick first step. Outside shooting is a concern. That's something that can be taught. But when I talked to a couple of NBA folks about Archie Goodwin at the Combine, Ray, they talked about his decision-making and his basketball IQ and sometimes his body language and things like that. He's got some intangible red flags. And, listen, in the NBA level, there are a lot of guys who are good athletes with good bodies. You've got to have something to differentiate yourself. I look at somebody like Tim Hardaway Jr., who you want to classify as a small forward or two-guard, wherever you want to put him, but to me, is Archie Goodwin going to be a better NBA player than Tim Hardaway Jr.? I don't know that that's the case, and Hardaway is basically projected as a mid-second round pick.
Could be interesting to see here coming the end of June. Thanks very much, Seth, for a complete look at the top five players at each position. Watch the other videos on Campus Insiders.